Hey, do you have ever had that nagging sensation about something that may could end being wrong or right, but you don't know why you know that or how you are having that sensation within that it's telling you about a potential? Well, this is the theme of today, how to listen to your intuition. And I will let you how you can develop a more accurate intuition, but equally how you can recognize if you are tuning into that voice that will help you to open those potentials to be in the unlimited way. And this is the theme of this program. I'm Gretel from the Unlimited Way. And in this episode, we want to talk about the voice of the intuition. So, what is the voice of the intuition? This voice, we all have that, regardless if you are aware or not. And it will speak at different levels. Some people call it your instinct, your gut, your knowing, your intuition, your sixth sense, but it will speak first through what you feel. That could be one point that let you know that maybe some extra information that you haven't thought about it that you should to look into. How that can come through. Could come through a goosebump. It could come through something that feels dense or heavy that you enter a place and it's just like, what's going on? And perhaps you see that there are people fighting in some room, but you were able to perceive that since you enter that place. Normally, we're not that aware about those shiftings in the energy. There are persons that are more perceptive that can sense that, but we all will have it one way or another. Another way that can come to you, it could come through what you observe it is happening. Maybe you are with different persons and one is speaking. And if you take a second to go outside of these robotic mood that sometimes we have, wake up, go to work, eat, right? Sleep, wake up, go to work, eat, sleep, and just observe beyond what they are saying, their tone, their gestures, their posture. Sometimes we pick up different things that let you, that may not happen in that way, or that person may be lying to you. Maybe you ask someone like, do you know about this? And the person may say like, oh yes, of course. I have done that before many times. But you may hesitate a little bit. And then you're like, in that case, when you take a second to observe and notice, you can have that ability to act upon what will feel right for you to avoid any wrong potentials or necessary situations. And something like that happened to me. I was used to go to exercise every day. And when you exercise, your body asks for it. One day that you're in exercise, you feel that, I want to exercise. Well, I woke up that morning, I had that something. It was like laziness I don't have when I wake up because I love to do exercise. So it's just like, let's go. And at the same time, I was going to the sunshine and then meditate. So it was like a whole experience for me to recharge and attune. So I woke up and I was making my drink, preparing myself, and it was like, maybe I should sleep. And I ignore it. I said, I will go. And then, maybe I should avoid that. But I ignore it. Not to make the story long, I completely ignore my voice. I went, I exercised when I was meditating. I was something. And I got unconscious. It was an experience that made me realize that I could have avoided that unnecessary experience that of course it wasn't pleasant. But I ignored that voice that said, maybe you shouldn't go today. But because I was in that rhythm that we create of life, that wake up, go to work, eat, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, eat, sleep, I ignored that extra information that wanted me to be present and observe and read what was happening. And for me, I wasn't that psychic back then. I couldn't figure out how to understand those signs, those messages. I always had dreams and be very empathic, but I wasn't trusting that voice. I get a reading, and the person in the reading says, the universe wanted to avoid it. You had a lot of signs. And then when she was reading me, she mentioned like 10 times prior a week where I was being advised about that possible uncomfortable situation, but I ignore it because I wasn't used to trust that my voice could be accurate and could guide me. But when that happened, I realized that maybe I should give it a try and work that out. And at the end, I would like to share a few of these steps that you can do to have that intuition better. Because now my intuition is so good that if I shouldn't eat something, I'll have a type of physical stimulus in my body that will say, no, don't do that. And then I will stop and then ask, okay, then what do you want to eat? And then something comes to my mind. But it took me a while to get there. So, how do you know to recognize that insightful wisdom? It comes not from a point of urgency or survivor mood or fear. It will come more from your center, from your calmness. It will come more from ideas, feelings that will inspire you to act upon something you may not do, or it could be something new. But it's like, what if you do that? It may come in a supernatural way, to dreams, to deja vus, that even persons that psychic will have a dream that you don't forget, that you don't know what it's about, but it's like, oh, I dream with this and this and this and this, and then they tell me this and this and this. And regardless of if you believe that could be true or not, or that could be psychic or not, maybe just think it's your subconscious mind trying to tell you something that you should look upon it. So, of course, if it dreams is a sign. Of course, your own inner thinking, your own inner talk, but not a talk that says, you shouldn't do that. It's more the talk that, what if you do that? And maybe something that no one had done before. That's why we move from riding horses to having cars and then from having airplanes, because someone had an idea that it was never taught before. And maybe the person thought, this is crazy, Earth is flat. But someone needed to have that vision. So we can say that intuition comes as foreseeing something, that whether you think it comes from the source or your wisdom, it doesn't matter, but it's trying to tell you an extra information to make your life better, easier, more unlimited into what you could be and all those possibilities. It could come through a strong feeling, gut feeling in regards to someone that you love, like may not be that person right, maybe I should check upon that person. It could also come through little things that you see, like, oh, is that person drinking coffee at 10 p.m. at night? Didn't say that coffee give anxiety or something. Something that you notice that is wrong or out of place or something will let you know to pay attention, that maybe that person is smiling but is going through depression. Your intuition can come in ways that maybe are not that super duper. Like someone asked, what time is it? And then maybe you said, it feels like 2 p.m. and then someone says, oh, yes, it's just 201. That may be a sign that you should listen to that instinct, that voice, because you are right in what you think it is. If persons come to you for advice, it is that persons around you validate your wisdom, validate what comes to your own voice, validate what you perceive, and foresight may happen. And maybe you are not a healer or anything or work giving therapy, but just knowing that people trust on your advices is a sign that you have good intuition. Another, it is having synchronicities. That is when two events out of the place have a causality when they shouldn't relate, but they just appear predicting something. Like, for example, I got like a big amount of money in my bank account, and I was very happy when I was out of the bank because it was like, I don't know, $2,000 that came to me unexpected. And I was like so happy, like, let's go. And when I was driving from the bank to my house, I saw 4 times consecutively cars that in the license plate they had 888. So my vibration was, even though I see numbers constantly or having those synchronicities, it wasn't, it was something out of the norm that a car would have 888 and then less than a mile 888 and then again. But that was mirroring my excitement because I was joyful. I felt like I was a rich person. And that enjoyment, it was confirming through an event, through a causality, that infinity that I was being emanating through me. So it can happen to you that you need certain amount of money, and then out of the blue, I remember that I had a client and she was going through a financial fall. And we talked, we did a healing session. She didn't know how she was going to pay her bills because it was quarantine. She wasn't working. Well, you may figure out. Well, the government in her country sent $5,000 because they say they made a mistake in her taxes from the past 5 years, and that money was given back to her. It was like a miracle. And she sent me the email the next day and she said, should I return that? And I said, no, keep it because you need it. I said, keep it, don't return it. They say that they made a mistake. Use it, and then let for the destiny or the universe let you know if you need to pay that back, then you made an agreement with them. But use it because she really needed it. So things like that may come to you if you are living it, if you're trusting that those things can happen to you. Because there are situations in life that happen to you that change your life forever. Like you were participating in an event with a song, and then someone saw you, and then you record, and then your life changed. Or maybe you went to a place with friends, and then you met your soulmate, you guys fell in love, and then it all changes. Those situations has happened probably to all of us. Situations that you don't expect, but come to you and then change everything. When you trust your intuition, you are able to relate in those unexpected insights that will come to you. And when you develop your intuition because you learn to be present, that could be the first tip that I can say about how to develop your intuition. Give yourself the opportunity to be present and to read your body. What do you feel? Ask yourself, where I am. Am I thinking about who is going to win the elections? Am I thinking about how AI is going to impact? Am I thinking about how the economy is going to evolve in the next 5 years? Or I am here while I'm driving, where I'm going to whatever I'm going. So you can then explore your present and then just observe what's going on inside, but also around. And therefore, I will say the next step it is to notice that you have different potentials to do. Like, this is another happened to me a few weeks ago. I was invited to do a workshop about light language. And I woke up with a headache the day I was going to have the interview with the person that wanted to hire me to do that course. I didn't want to cancel because I wanted to do the workshop. So I said, I will just go for it. I did heal myself, I meditated, I calmed myself, but the headache was there. But I didn't want to cancel because if you are an interview and you got late, you don't look good, right? So I said, I'm going to go for it. Well, 20 minutes before our interview, her assistant messaged me and says, hey, won't be able to meet because the ex person woke up feeling with headache. So she was very, how do I say that? She felt sorry to cancel you, but can we reschedule for next week? And I was like, oh my God, yes. Right? I was, of course, don't worry about it. I didn't needed to tell them that I had a headache too. But in this case, it was a synchronicity that benefit me because I wasn't feeling like going there. But again, I ignored the signs because sometimes you want to behave from your mind. No, because I have to do that because what they are going to think or something. But thank God, we both mirror the same thing. So a few days later, when we had the interview, it was awesome because we were in the rightful energy to do that. Trust that voice because it will avoid you situations that may not go and have the experience that, oh, I love that. It was good. It was great. Just because you didn't act upon that voice. Like if you don't want to go to a place because maybe it's not your vibe, but you go because politely you want to say no, and then you feel uncomfortable the 6 hours that you went there because, oh, I didn't want to be here, but I couldn't say no. When you listen to your voice and honor it, you can avoid situations like that and your life will flow gracefully. This is something that I am learning. And you can learn again. You be present, you explore where you are, how it's happening. And then I realized that possible outcomes can come. Like, for example, when I got my headache and I was going to have the interview, I could said, well, I will cancel, or I could do that. If I cancel, she may not want to do the workshop, or she may say it's okay. But if I got through, maybe we didn't have balance on it because I'm not feeling good. Maybe it won't be noticed. So you will realize that you always have potentials to go through. And then when I observe and sense from my wisdom I taught, I said, you know what? I will just go for it and see how it happened. I will just surrender. If I have to do it, I will do it. And then minutes later, I had the message that says, hey, it's canceled. So trust that no matter how the outcome is, you're going to be okay. But sometimes you have to let go what you think you should do. And then the universe normally will prove you right and move things to support your acceptance at life as it is. I think just the fourth step to enhance your intuition, it will be to try exploring those choices by simulating options that you can do. Just imagine and think, okay, I could cancel, I could go for it, I could say no, and then notice how you are going to feel, what will be the vibe that may happen, and then you can make the choice. But we don't take a moment to reflect. Sometimes we can end doing things that then you feel as a mistake or a regret. I shouldn't have done that. But to get accuracy, give yourself the opportunity to trust that voice so you can have a measurement about how much accurate you are. And if you don't, keep trying so you get better, because intuition is like a muscle you develop so you go better and better and better. And then notice things. Notice before you give an advice, before you say something, notice how it felt inside, but also how it felt outside. And the more you go through that, the better you get. Normally, the mind will speak from the wisdom, and that could be for your highest outcome or not, because maybe you have a mind that is very sharp and accurate, but maybe you have a mind, and I'm talking just generally, that it will be negative or is frustrated all the time. And when that happens, we develop a type of cycle that you are with the adrenaline or the stress all the time. And sometimes it is when intuition is going to go out of whack, because that chemistry about, negative or drained or stressed or frustrated can be confusing. And I'm going to give you an example. Fear and excitement sometimes are similar influences from your body, and it could be hard to discern. That's why going to a roller coaster could be fun for someone, even though you may feel scared, because it rushes that adrenaline. Watching a horror movie, it will may have that adrenaline and you may feel alive. But when we do those things and overweigh, when that happens, then the body will get used to that chemistry, the dopamine, that serotonin, and then it will ask you to have that drive all the time. That's why sometimes people engage with drugs or alcohol or stimulus to feel alive. But to avoid that, it's important to go back and be present and notice what you need or why you are doing those things in order for you to adjust. And as the last tip, I would say change or substitute one habit for another. Whatever you want to go, if it is being more in tune to what you said, then if your habit is not to notice your voice, then begin to listen to yourself. Listen into the stories that you play along your day and then change them. It's okay to honor your own story, even when you don't feel okay, but then just leave the door open for a happy ending. And I'm not talking about Cinderella and the Prince. Maybe you feel wrong. Maybe it's not a good place for you. And you can say, I don't know how to go through this, but I know I will figure out one day, may not be today. So in that way, you listen a part of you that says, this is not okay. And perhaps you don't know how to get the potential, the unlimited way. But as long as you know you will, maybe in an hour, maybe the next day, maybe the next month, then that will be a positive ending. That will be anchoring a new potential into your life. And this is what I feel was important to talk about intuition. Potentials is knowing that what you foreseen can happen as a bad thing could change if you change your perception about life. And we always have that capacity to think different, to keep trying and to keep redesigning life the way you want to go. Maybe you cannot change your country or your city or the way you look or your name or your profession, but you can change how to feel against that or how you think in relationship with that by noticing something new, just like a detail. It's just like being open to life show you a different taste of it. Like, for example, a food that is salty and they add a sweet ingredient on it. Who thought that you could put something that's sweet like chocolate with a pepper like chipotle in a candy or in a fish? someone that had the idea to try something different. And this is something that will come through your intuition. And with that, I would like you guys to reflect about developing that awareness to listen. I think we have 2 ears for some reason and just one mouth. And it is to double check before we think or speak. I hope you guys like it. Take whatever feels worth it and helpful. Disregard the rest, and let's keep being open for new potentials. Thank you for being here in the Unlimited Way. Comment, support, let us know how do you feel, any ideas for new episodes, and see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.